All right, so today we're going to actually use SOHCAHTOA to answer some problems. But to be successful with this, you have to remember SOHCAHTOA. So the side opposite of angle A, so if we're looking from angle A, this side is opposite because it's across. This side, because they share a side, this would be adjacent. Because this is across from the 90-degree angle, that would be the hypotenuse. So if I say which side is opposite of angle A, well, side is going to have two letters, so you could either say CB or BC. What side is adjacent? Well, adjacent means next to angle A, so that's BA, or you could say AB. And then it says, what is the hypotenuse? Well, the hypotenuse we labeled as CA, or you call it AC. All right, so that is our warm-up for today. All right, so what does SOHCAHTOA stand for? Well, the S stands for, in your calculator, it looks like this, sin. And then the O is opposite over hypotenuse. The C stands for cosine, and that's adjacent over hypotenuse. The T stands for tangent, which is opposite over adjacent. Right? So once again, if I'm looking from angle, let's look from angle A. This would be my opposite side, because this shares a side. This is adjacent, because this is across from the 90-degree angle, that would be the hypotenuse. So the definition is the sine. It's always going to be the acute angle that you're going to find the sine and cosine from. You'll never use the 90-degree angle as your angle for the ratio. So if I'm looking at the ratio of the side length opposite to the acute angle to the length of the hypotenuse, that is what we call sine, right? So sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So if you drew this out, it would be this side here and this side here. Okay, next it says the definition of the cosine. So we're just going to look at sine and cosine right now. The cosine of an acute angle of a right triangle is a ratio of the length of the side adjacent to the acute angle to the length of the hypotenuse. So if we have that same triangle, and this was the angle we're looking from, adjacent side would be here, and the hypotenuse would be here. And so what I'm going to do at this point is show you how to type this in your calculator and work. So look at your calculator right now, and you should look at about the fourth row down in the black buttons, and you should see sin, cos, and tan. Those are the buttons we're going to be using. So to get us started, the very first thing you're going to do is next to the second button, you should see the word mode. So please hit mode and make sure that degrees is highlighted. If it's not, you want to put your cursor over degrees, hit enter, then hit second mode to exit out. Okay, so you want to make sure you're in degrees first. Then you're just going to type in sin 50, close your parentheses, hit enter, and you should get the ratio of 0.7660. For cosine, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to hit cos 50, and you should get 0.6428. If you are looking for degrees, so notice in this case we don't have degrees, then you have to hit second first, okay? So in this case you would hit second sin, and you'll see a little -1. Then you hit 0.5, hit enter, and then that will give you the degrees. So second sin, 0.5, close my parentheses. So this is actually a 30-degree angle. And for number 4, you're going to hit second sin, 0.2588, close your parentheses, hit enter, and you should get 14.998, which is approximately 15 degrees. Okay? So the distinction is when you're looking for the ratio, You just do it regular. When you're looking for the angle measure, you have to hit second. All right, let's look at how this looks in real life. So in the first situation, we're looking for the sine of A. So the very first thing you want to do is label your triangle. So this is opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse. So sin, remember, is opposite over hypotenuse. So that's going to be the sin of -1 of 3 over 5. So I'm literally going to type second sin 3 divided by 5, close my parentheses, hit enter. You should get 36.86. It says round to 4 decimal places if necessary, so we'll say 36.869. In the second situation, we're looking for the cosine of B. So if we're looking at cosine of B, we're looking opposite. So we no longer, this is now adjacent, and this is now opposite, but my hypotenuse stays the same. And remember with cosine, it's co, so it's adjacent over hypotenuse. And I'm looking for the degrees, so it's going to be cos -1, so I have to hit the second button. And this is going to be 3 over 5 again. And that equals 53.1301. Now what's cool is you should notice that this is a 90-degree angle, a 90-degree triangle. And so all 3 of these angles should add up to 180 degrees. And so knowing that these 2 angles here should add up to 90 degrees. And so if you type those in your calculator, you should get 90 degrees. Because 90 plus 90 is 180. So that's another way to check your answer. Okay. Try 3 and 4 on your own. So go ahead and pause the video at this moment. Try 3 and 4 on your own and then come back and check to see that you did it correctly. Okay, so the first thing I'm looking for is the sin of Q. I always say sin, but it's sine, really. And so I remember sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So I'm going to label my triangle. This is opposite. This side, because they're next to each other, that's adjacent. Because this is across, that's my hypotenuse. So the numbers I'm going to use, I'm going to do sin -1 of 5 divided by 13. Hit enter. So second sine, 5 divided by 13, close my parentheses. Now you should get 22.6199. Okay. And now for cosine, I'm now looking from the cosine of S, so that's my focal point. Now this is not opposite anymore, it's adjacent. You know, that one's opposite. So actually it's the same ratio. Adjacent over hypotenuse. So it's the cosine -1 of 5 divided by 13. So I'm going to type in second cos 5 divided by 13. So again, don't forget to use that second button. You should get 67.3801. And you'll notice if you add these together, you should get 90 degrees. Because all 3 angles in the right triangle should equal 90. So let's go ahead and practice these problems. Let's look at number 1. Okay, for number 1, we have our angle measures. So I'm looking from here. So I'm going to label this opposite and this label hypotenuse. So O over H is sin. So it's the sin of 42. And that's going to equal the ratio of x over 75. Because x is up high, I'm going to multiply. Or you could look at this as a cross multiplication problem. So this is the sin of 42 degrees. Make sure you close your parentheses. Times 75 is going to equal x. x. So you're literally going to type in no second, because you know the degrees. Sin 42, close your parentheses, the times button, 75. And you get x equals 50.18, but it says round to the nearest tenth, so it's 50.2. Over here, same situation. This is my focal point. This is my adjacent side, and this is my hypotenuse. So for this one, I'm using cosine of 42 equals x over 75. X is up high, multiply. So this is the cosine of 42 times 75. Make sure the 75 is not in the parentheses, or you will get the wrong answer. Cosine of 42, close parentheses, times 75 equals 55.73. So x equals 55.7. And again, my answer makes sense for both of these because the hypotenuse has to be the largest side. And since my answer is less than the hypotenuse, it could be a leg. All right, now let's look at how this is a little bit different when I'm looking for an angle measure. Remember, when I'm looking for the angle measure, I have to hit the second button. Okay, so in this situation, I'm going to always label my triangle first. This is opposite, and this is hypotenuse. This is adjacent, but I don't have any information here, so I'm not going to use it. So opposite hypotenuse is the sin of x equals 62 over 87. So in my calculator, I'm going to hit second sin, so you get that little -1, and then 67, the divide by 87, hit enter. My bad, that should be 62. And you get x equals 45.5 degrees. And note that's because it rounds. And for number 4, same situation, I'm looking from here. First step is to label my triangle. I know that's the hypotenuse since it's opposite. Now this time I have information for A and H. So this time it's cos of x equals 62 over 71. I'm going to need to use second. So you get second cos, and you should get that little -1, parentheses, 62 divided by 71. You should get 29.2. Okay. Now you're going to go ahead and watch the second video where we're going to do the same thing. We're going to talk about tangent, and then you're also going to get to practice your the last page, 35, practice 1 through 16. I will check it for a grade. These are your IXLs, but R1, you only have to get to 50%. But definitely try R8 and R9. And the quiz is Friday. Good luck, y'all.